Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind. And speaking of the Liberal Hive Mind, if you guys ever want to peer directly into the phenomenon, then you simply need to be following Shaney Rich on Twitter. I'll put his Twitter details on the screen as I'm saying this. Our Magadonian friend Shaney Rich strikes again, folks, with another massively viral video, another beautifully set up trap meant for leftoids to walk right into to expose the double standards, the hypocrisy, the lies, and the ignorance. I said it earlier and I'll say it again, Shaney Rich strikes again. Let me show you guys this amazing clip. Let's have a conversation about it. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so a couple words I'm just gonna say before we play that clip. The first is double standard, the second is hypocrisy. I constantly use those words to describe leftists in general. To a certain extent, it's certainly a generalization, but also not really.
I don't know if you saw, but Trump is actually calling for Biden to be removed from the ballot. There's been no convictions, but these unelected Supreme Court judges are trying to remove Biden from the ballot, which I think is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Oh, for sure. That's an extremely dangerous precedent. I mean, there's been no convictions. There's been nothing illegal done. So there's no precedent for removing him. And it's mostly just to appeal to the fan base. But either way, it's a pretty dangerous thing to do.
I feel like that's a similar tendency to Hitler, you know?
Yeah.
If there was a conviction, that'd be one thing. But I always say, why don't you let the voters decide? Why would you want the candidate who's leading in the polls to be removed from the ballot so you would have an easier chance of winning?
Oh, for sure. And to be fair, I mean, that's the whole premise of democracy, is that the people decide who they want to represent them and the policies they want to represent them. So to just completely disregard that and go based off of, oh, well, I think he should be removed, then that does lead us a little bit closer to authoritarianism and fascism.
What if I told you that was actually Biden that just did that to Trump in Colorado?
You also have to consider the nuance behind what is being investigated currently. If they have enough to have a conviction, then sure. If they don't, then they don't.
They don't have a conviction, but they just did it to Trump.
Yeah.
So how could you support Biden knowing that they're doing that to Trump?
There's the taking of all the classified documents.
Biden also stole classified documents too. And they had him in his garage in the Corvette. He had him at the college, at the Penn State. So I feel like everyone has taken classified documents. It's rules for thee, but not for me is what it seems like against Trump, you know?
Not exactly. When you consider the amount of interference when it comes to Russia and foreign policy and everything like that.
Oh, you mean how that? But that was debunked. But that was debunked though. They said Russia. It wasn't. Do you not remember how Adam Schiff got censured for lying about it? There was never a conviction for Russian interference.
Just because there isn't a conviction does not mean that there isn't sufficient evidence.
Do you not remember the Steele dossier though? The FBI lied. Hillary Clinton campaign paid the FBI to lie about the Russia.
Either way, there needs to be a line, and that line is something that has to be determined by the public.
Yeah, and that's why Trump's leading in the polls, over 60%, and then they want to remove him from the ballot because they know he's going to win.
I don't know about that, but...
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
It's so easy to just set up a little booby trap and walk the leftist right in it. There is nothing they enjoy more than having their egos massaged and their biases affirmed. Go to any leftist and present any idea that's vehemently anti-Donald Trump, and they'll simply run with it. This tactic has been used before.
Somewhat controversial quotes from the past. First quote: "You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent." Who do you think said that?
Trump.
Trump.
That sounds like a Trump quote.
Ooh. That's a big yikes. But I might say Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
What if I told you that all of those are actually Joe Biden?
All right, there it is.
Is that surprising?
Yeah, very.
That's crazy.
Is that surprising?
Yeah.
Oh, snap. Oh, that's bad.
Is that surprising to you?
Yeah, I mean, they're all pretty racist, so it's not really good.
Ah, well, that's surprising.
That's really surprising.
Going through Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, and Hillary Clinton quotes, presenting them to young college leftists as Donald Trump quotes, or asking them who do you think said this evil, controversial statement, everybody is always fully willing to attribute it to Donald Trump and then to go on a monologue condemning Donald Trump. Yeah, he's such a horrible person, only to look like a complete fool in about 5 seconds when the interviewer says, well, actually, that quote was said by Joe Biden. All of a sudden, you see the life leaving their eyes. Every leftoid in this situation looking like they just saw a ghost. entering desperate cope mode. And in this case, this woman had a couple options. Her first option was to have a moment of introspection and honesty, looking at one's own bias. Wow, you got me is probably what I would have said. I guess maybe I should check my bias. My bad. But no, of course not. The leftoid brain doesn't do that. The leftoid brain goes into Russia. Dig your heels in and attempt to justify. Well, actually, it does make sense in the case of Donald Trump because MPC error, revert to programming, beep boop, Russia. Just stop with the copium. I find it so incredibly frustrating. It's just so incredibly exhausting keeping up with the double standards of the left. I mean, what is so difficult? It's obvious that it's a clear, unethical, horrible double standard. All the facts get laid out. You tell a Democrat Republicans are attempting to remove Joe Biden from a state ballot based on some outdated, irrelevant law, claiming Joe Biden committed insurrection without ever having been tried and found guilty of any crime of insurrection. We're going to remove him from the ballot. Why? Well, because 4 Supreme Court justices decided so. If you presented that idea to any leftist, they would tell you, well, that's undemocratic. The people should make the choice. He shouldn't be pulled off the ballot without ever having been found guilty and going through the proper court process. But then the moment you say it's Donald Trump, well, all of a sudden, everything goes out the window. If somebody was to tell me that this was happening to Joe Biden, I'd say that's wrong. I wouldn't want to beat Joe Biden like that anyway. I want to BTFO the libs properly because I want real, long-term, long-lasting change. I want to change minds. I want a real conservative culture being built. I want to win in the public debate of ideas, not win for the sake of winning by any means necessary. You know, that seems to be the Democrat thought process. Stop Donald Trump no matter what. Win no matter what, even if the people aren't behind us. And that's an interesting point that actually was brought up in the video towards the end there. The polling data shows, the numbers show that the people are very much behind a second Donald Trump term. And that right there is probably the problem. The Democrats know that they're losing on the issues. They know they're viewed as fringe extreme radicals, causing chaos and division in the political system. They know their ideas are deeply unpopular, whether it's all their activist ideas over the last couple of years that have failed and haven't exactly aged well, or whether it's their big government socialist policies. The reality is, you go issue by issue, Democrats are losing on nearly every single issue. They know this. They know the voters aren't behind them. And so essentially the message that they're telling you is screw the voters. We don't care about the voters. We're going to win this thing despite the voters. We're going to manipulate the system. We're going to abuse the justice system. And we're going to do it knowing that we're wrong, knowing that what we're doing is wrong. But we're going to justify it because, well, orange man bad. And that right there is literally, essentially the TLDR of this little viral clip that's now bouncing around Twitter. That is exactly what this young woman told us. That yes, she knows it's wrong. Fundamentally, when presented with the circumstance, she understands that it's undemocratic, it's incorrect, and if it was happening to her favorite politician, she would be outraged. But because it's happening to Donald Trump now, all of a sudden it's justified because orange man bad, because Russia, because the same people who are going on and on and on, virtue signaling and lecturing us about democracy are the exact same people actively working to subvert it, in fact, destroy it. You know, obviously with these little interviews on the street, they're little isolated incidents, but I'd argue we could extrapolate a bigger picture from them. Moments like these tend to be a microcosm of the whole. This is how the media acts, it's how the politicians and activists act. This young woman put on full display exactly what is wrong with the DNC, the fake news leftist media, and the propaganda brigade known as the Blue Anon Twitter crew / Loretic crew. This is who they are, this is what they do. The constant, horrible double standard. But of course, as we know, if the left didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have standards at all. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.